So this session is being recorded. I will send everyone a link to this recording of the vaping, marijuana, and opioid PPW, that's Prevention Plus Wellness Programs and Training webinar. There will not be a PDF this go around because I'm just going to show you actual images of our program manuals and slides. So no PDF of slides today, I'm sorry, but you will have a recorded session, a link to recorded session, this session, and you're welcome to share that widely in your region, your state, your nation. So today's topics for today, and by the way, welcome to this session hosted by Prevention Plus Wellness LLC, located here in beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. And my name is Dr. Chudley Wirch. I'm president and founder at PPW. So we've got 4 objectives. The first is explore the content in the manuals. That's the vaping or the e-cigarette, as well as the marijuana and opioid PPW programs. Remember, we have different versions of these programs for different age groups. At Prevention Plus Wellness, we have programs that address the whole developmental range of young people, from children to young adolescents to older adolescents to young adults. Secondly, we're going to compare scripts for implementing these programs to youth or young adults individually, as well as in group, in person, as well as online. We'll look at the PowerPoint slides. I'll tell you what's in your digital downloads. Just to give you a quick overview, most of our programs are provided to prevention and health specialists. And by the way, they're implemented in all 50 states of the nation and internationally. But you get a physical manual with your script to implement your program to youth one-on-one or in a group. And then you get a digital download, which includes your PowerPoint slides and all of your reproducible material, so you don't have to purchase anything beyond that initial purchase. So lastly, we're going to identify some resources on our website, preventionpluswellness.com, in terms of training and tools and resources. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing that. Let me pull up the poll that I was talking about. So let me launch this poll. For those of you that do have access on your computer or your smartphone or what tablet, whatever the case may be, if you see this, please do participate, because I'm going to listen to what you're saying in this polling, and based on how you respond, I'll be tailoring today's training. So you've got 4 questions. You're going to need to scroll down to see all 4 of the questions. And most of the questions are multiple choice, so you can answer more than one response. So please go ahead and answer as whatever you like. Question 1 is, which prevention topics are you most interested in? And you've got 4 responses there. The second question is, which age groups of youth are you most interested in? You just need to scroll down to see all the responses there. Question 3 is, what types of organization, or what type of organization do you work from? Sometimes people work for more than one organization, so you're able to answer more than once there. And lastly, if you were to implement a PPW program, how would you like to do so, in person or online, to one youth or to a group of youth? So please do answer all of those questions. I'll give you just a couple of minutes to do that. Again, based on these findings, I'm going to address those things that most of you say you're interested in. So it is imperative that you do participate in this poll if you have an opportunity. I know some of you may be just on audio, and so you can't participate, but others of you are able to see this poll and see the slides that we're sharing, and so please do participate if you can. So at this moment, we've got half of you who are currently online participating, and I'm going to wait just another 2 minutes to make sure everybody has a chance to answer these 4 questions. They're very, very brief and quick. So right now we get 6 out of 10 of you have participated, which is good. And so this wait just a little bit longer so that everybody can respond who wants to respond. It'd be nice if we got at least 7 out of 10 of you, 70% that have responded. Right now we're up to 63%, so just one more minute. And you've got just 4 simple questions, and I'm going to be sharing these results with you, and then based on the results, we're going to focus on those things that you said you were most interested in seeing. So another 30 seconds, we're up to 66% have responded. We'd love to get 70% if we could. So 1 or 2 more of you, if we could just have you respond, we're very close to that percentage. We're up to 69%, another 1 or 2 more. It will be over 70%, now we're over 70%. So if we had just another couple more, we'd be at 75%, 3 out of 4 of you. That would be good, but let me just give you another 20 seconds and then we'll see what we can do at that point. So another 20 seconds, last chance for any of you who want to participate in this poll. You just have to scroll down and answer those 4 simple questions. So, okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to end the polling. We're at 73%. Almost 3 out of 4 of you have participated. So thank you so very much for, we're over. Yay, congratulations, 76%. So let me stop at this point and let me share the results with you. It may take a moment for you to see these results, but let me go through them with you. You can hear me. So number 1, question number 1, which prevention topics are you most interested in? Those of you who are online with us today, marijuana is the number 1 topic. So we'll start with looking at the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness program, and that was followed pretty closely by e-cigarettes and then opioids, and then way at the end there were some other topics that we're not discussing. So we'll start with marijuana. Maybe we'll also look a little at the other 2 if we have some time. Which age groups? The number 1 age group was high school. That was followed pretty closely by middle school. And that was followed, interestingly enough, by young adults. And then elementary school and others. So we'll start with the marijuana program at the high school level, and then if we have time, we'll go from there. Marijuana high school, remind me of that if I forget. So what types of organization do you work for? We got people at all different types of organizations. Prevention organizations is by far and the largest. And I don't know what that means exactly. I think most prevention organizations are nonprofit, but would love to know what kind of an organization you belong to. You could just write that in the chat space. I'd love to learn more about what organization you are actually coming from. So if you have a moment and you can open up that chat, just type that in. Number 4, and this is the last question. If you were to implement a Prevention Plus Wellness program, how would you do so? And the number 1 response is in a group. So in a group is preferred over an individual, and in person is preferred over online, although quite a few people also reported online. So we'll look at the group script and we'll talk about how to implement it in person in the group, but also some options for online. So thank you very much for all of that. And so that gives me an idea as to what we're going to be focusing on today. Now, what I'm going to need to do is you're going to need to just give me a moment, because I'm going to pull up those things that you were most interested in. And so what I'm going to first of all do is I'm going to go to because you can only open so many files while you're Zooming. And if you have too many files open, what happens is everything just shuts down. The whole system collapses and freezes up, and then everybody's in trouble. So let me go to marijuana first of all, and I'm going to pull up the marijuana high school slides. We'll want to take a look at the marijuana high school slides. I know that's definitely, hang on a second. I want to make sure we have the latest, the most up-to-date materials for everyone. I don't want to show you any old materials. I want you to see the 2021 materials. That's the most recent materials. So right now I'm launching the marijuana PPW program slides, so you can see those. And I will also pull up for you the actual manual, so you'll be able to see the physical manual. And again, we'll start with the high school manual. That's what most of you are interested in, high school version. So let me find the high school manual. I'm looking among all of the program materials that we have, and so there's quite a few, so it just takes a moment for me to locate it, and then I'll pull it up for you. And here's the high school manual, so let me pull it up. So, and it'll just take a moment to launch. I'll grab onto it, and then we'll be ready to rock and roll. So while that document, that Word document is loading, and things are a little bit slow on my computer today for some reason. You know how that is. Everybody knows how that is. So here we go. So let's start with, I think it'll be interesting to start with the slides. How about that? So here are the slides. Let me just expand them for you so you can see them. Oh, actually, before I expand the slides for you, and again, what we're looking at now is the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness program for high school. Remember, for marijuana and for the vaping, which is our e-cigarette prevention plus wellness program, we have high school version, middle school version, and elementary school versions. So those of you that responded today, most of you are interested in high school and middle school. After that, you're interested in young adult. Now, we don't have young adult versions of these two programs, but our opioid PPW program, we have an adolescent version, and then a high-risk young men version and a high-risk young women version. So those two versions we have in young adults. So for those of you interested in young adults, you might want to focus particularly on our opioid PPW program. Also, we have the InShape Prevention Plus Wellness program. Now, InShape Prevention Plus Wellness is our alcohol and drug PPW program for young adults. It's our evidence-based program. So for those of you working with young adults, check it out. It's the InShape Prevention Plus Wellness program. That's for young adults, and that program is being used in colleges and communities and even in the U.S. military. So that's InShape Prevention Plus Wellness, and Opioid Prevention Plus Wellness has young men and young women versions as requested or as highlighted as high-risk groups by SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. Okay, so now that I've said that, let's take a look at the slides. All Prevention Plus Wellness programs come with slides. You show the slides to the youth or young adults when you present your program. You've got your manual, you've practiced your manual, maybe you've had our 2-hour online program implementer training, which would be ideal. Then you practice your scripts because your manual has scripts to implement the program. Literally, you read the script. That reduces training for you. It allows almost anybody to implement our programs. You don't have to have specialized training or certifications or master's degrees or anything like that. So we've had youth implement our programs to their same age or younger age peers. So that shows you how relatively simple this is. 2-hour online training as a program implementer. We even have a 2-hour online train the trainer, so you can train other providers. But anyway, our programs are scripted. That means literally you just practice the script, you glance down at the script, you look at your youth, and you present it, and you could implement it to youth individually. Now, not too many of you identified you were interested in that, but let me just say something about the individual script. That's where you literally provide feedback to youth based on how they've responded to a screening survey. So it's the most tailored approach, and research shows that tailoring prevention interventions can improve their efficacy, can increase their efficacy. Then you have a script to implement it to groups. Now, most of you are interested in that. And so in that case, that's the most efficient strategy, because then you're able to implement it to more than one person at a time. So you have that great flexibility. In fact, a lot of organizations will do both. They'll implement it to individuals if they can, then they'll switch back to groups and back to individuals. Sometimes they'll implement it to individuals that are high risk, like maybe caught using the substance like marijuana, or whatever the case is. Whatever, you got lots and lots of flexibility. And because most of Prevention Plus Wellness programs are a single session, that's one session of 45 to 55 minutes in length, you can have a full public health reach all the youth in your region, your area, your state, your nation, and really make a difference in the lives of youth. And really much easier to gain access to youth, whether it's in schools or youth groups or recreation or clubs or hospitals, or it does not matter. A single session can fit into any busy situation. All right, so we're looking at the marijuana PPW program for high school students. That's what you're most interested in. And notice on the bottom of the slides, you've got notes. So we've done this recently. We put some notes in the bottom of the slides. These notes are directions or reminders for you. You have them, of course, also in your program manual, but we didn't want to miss them. You missed them, so we also included them in the slides. So that's all I'll say about that. Now I'm going to expand the slides so you can better see them. And here's our cover slide. You're welcome to co-brand, add your logo and organization's name on this slide. Now, our programs are motivational more than educational. They're evidence-based practices, screening and brief interventions like SBIRT. Some of you may have heard of SBIRT, screening, brief intervention, referral to treatment. This is a screening and brief intervention. There's 3 steps to it. Screening is for the health habits. That increases awareness of their healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors. Feedback on those behaviors using positive image communication designed to cue desired future images of themselves, being fit, active, healthy, successful, very motivational, and of course, how in this case, marijuana interferes with those healthy behaviors and positive images, or how e-cigarettes, or how opioids, or in our sport program, how alcohol interferes. And that all increases motivation to change both the wellness behaviors and the substance use behaviors. And then thirdly, the action piece, having youth set goals, multi-behavior goals, not just to avoid substance use, but also increase protective wellness behavior. So that's why you see this slide, complete the health and fitness screening survey. That's the first step, screening, feedback, goal setting. Now, when you're in person, and most of you would be implementing this program to a group of youth in person, you have your digital download that has your copies of your screening survey. So you make copies of it in advance, hand it out to your youth when you come to the implementation to implement it to the group, and bring some pencils and pens, make sure they have that, and then you'll walk them through, or give them a moment, I should say, to complete the screening survey. That's how you do it. It's as simple as that. But if you implement this online, and I know a lot of you, there were quite a few of you that still are, because of the pandemic, I'm sure, or maybe just because of reach, you want to also implement this online, not a problem. All you have to do is show your youth this link. They can click on this link to the right that brings them to a Microsoft screening survey, and they can complete it. Let's say that they don't have access to that. Let's say if they can't, they don't have internet, and I don't know how, they have to have internet because you're providing this online. But if you did want to use this, then you could literally show the screening survey questions right here and have them complete them on a blank sheet of paper. So either way, whether you present this in person or online, It's very easy to switch back and forth or do both at the same time, that hybrid, where you're literally presenting it to a group physically and then streaming it virtually at the same time. No problem. You can do that quite easily with all Prevention Plus Wellness programs. So there's the screening survey questions. It's about sports and physical activity. Let me just say something else I didn't clarify yet. The marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness program and the vaping, that's the e-cigarette Prevention Plus Wellness program, are adaptations, or if you will, modifications of the sport alcohol and drug Prevention Plus Wellness program. Sport is evidence-based program. That means it's undergone rigorous evaluation, found to be effective. Those results have been published in refereed scientific journals. And then, and only then, sport has been listed on a number of evidence-based registries, like Blueprints for Healthy Youth Development, for example. So sport is evidence-based, but remember, all PPW programs use evidence-based practices, screening and brief intervention, just to let you know that. Now, marijuana and vaping PPW are adaptations of sport. So you're going to see similar things about sport, but one thing you'll see different is that while sport emphasizes alcohol use, obviously marijuana PPW emphasizes how cannabis causes problems with protective wellness behaviors, the benefits of those, and self-images. Vaping PPW addresses how e-cigarettes is problematic. Opioid PPW addresses opioid use, so not medical opioid use. So that's the difference. So marijuana and vaping PPW are modifications of the evidence-based sport program. The opioid PPW program is a modification of our evidence-based in-shape program. So, so you'll see some differences between the opioid PPW program and sport, marijuana, and vaping PPW program. So that's all I'll say about that right now. But right now you're looking at the screening survey, and you'll see there's a question about sports physical activities in the last year, regular sports and physical activities, third question on friends' influence about physical activity. We're really focusing on physical activity behaviors and images as a basis for overall health, physical and mental health. Question 4 is about eating healthy breakfast and healthy food. Most of the questions are just yes and no, so it goes very quickly. Question 5 is about sleeping 8 or more hours of sleep, getting 8 or more hours of sleep, and not most nights. And then lastly, there's a question about marijuana. Have you ever smoked or vaped marijuana, eating food with marijuana in it, or drank a beverage with marijuana in it, yes or no? So notice, just 6 questions, very, very quick, only takes a couple of minutes. This is designed for the youth, not for you as the practitioner, but for them. They're going to keep it, throw it away, whatever they want, but the goal is to just increase their awareness. You know, what are my health habits with regard to, in this case, marijuana, as well as these wellness behaviors? And if you look at the opposite side of those wellness behaviors, we're really asking them about their chronic disease risk behaviors. Chronic disease risk behaviors result over time in chronic diseases like diabetes and overweight and heart disease and stroke and so on. And these risk factors include a sedentary lifestyle, screen time, lack of physical activity, poor nutrition, inadequate sleep, etc. That's what we're measuring in Prevention Plus Wellness screening surveys. So that's the first step. You implement your screening survey. There's a repeat of that first screening survey question, so students know what's coming up or youth know what's coming forward. And then you're going to follow your script, and you're going to show this slide. And this slide, the slides are for the visual learner, and they have give youth something to focus on while you present your feedback to them, either individually or in a group. And this first slide and the first part of the script is about highlighting the benefits, particularly the images, positive images associated with that wellness behavior. The wellness behavior just to go back again, is sports or physical activities in the last year. And you can see what they are. Fit and strong are particularly powerful because they're image terms. So youth will have an image of themselves unconsciously, being more fit, being stronger. Who doesn't want to be fit and strong? Who doesn't want their youth to be fit and strong and healthy, successful, and so on? But then there's other benefits. It's fun, feel good about yourself, give you lots of energy, etc. That's the first part of the messaging. The second part then is to show how, in this case, cannabis interferes with that. It makes it more difficult. Let me just move my toolbar out of the way. It makes sports and physical activities more difficult to feel good, to keep fit, to have lots of energy, etc. There it is. There's what I'm talking about. So marijuana use hurts brain development, lung function, success. It hurts success, increases mental and health problems. That's what I'm talking about right there. There is the second screening survey question, sports physical activities in the last year. There are the benefits of it, including positive images. Now, we've built in discussion questions or stop and think questions. So you want to pause, you want to have youth take this material, this information back to their own lifestyle. What types of sports or other physical activities would you like to do, try, or do more of? So you can pause, let them think, get some feedback from them. And you can get that from the group, from an individual youth, or from youth online very easily, having them type in the chat space or having them respond verbally. So again, in person or online, this can be very implemented easily. And then this is how cannabis interferes with being physically active on a regular basis. It hurts coordination and reaction time, concentration, interferes with having a healthy brain and body. And at the same time, we're showing images, lots of diverse images, males and females, different ethnicities, different positive activities. These can be tailored to your population. We discuss all of that in our 2-hour online program, Implementer Training. But that's why we're showing that diversity, because we want youth to see representations of themselves in this. We want them to see positive models, in other words, of themselves. So that's what you do with you follow your script, you show your slides, they coordinate with each other beautifully. The content is quite brief. Once you practice it 3-4 times, your script becomes second nature, almost memorized. So it is a very, very simple, positive, enjoyable program especially for older adolescents, high school age and above, or even older middle school students, 8th graders versus 6th graders. They've heard prevention messages before. They've heard risk messages before. And so to continue to present that to them about how marijuana or vaping or opioids or alcohol are going to cause problems for them down the road, cancer, heart disease, they've heard it. And so they're likely to tune those messages out. So especially, again, the older, young adolescents and older adolescents, that's why this approach is so much more appealing to them and acceptable to them and enjoyable for them and their parents and communities and funding agencies and so on. It's also more holistic. It addresses not just substance use, but those wellness behaviors, which are so critical to physical and mental health. So that's why I think these prevention plus wellness programs are great. I'm biased, but I'm telling you from feedback that we get throughout the country and world, young people love these programs, and they are very efficient and they are very powerful, because we even have a translation of our sport alcohol drug prevention plus wellness program in Turkish language and tested in Istanbul in a controlled trial and found it to be effective in influencing a range of healthy habits. So very salient, universally accepted approach to for impacting a range of health habits, not just substance use among young people. So you'll get to, of course, with sport, again, alcohol, you'll get to your substance use messages here in the cannabis, the marijuana PPW program that focuses on marijuana. So you'll get to that, and there's a little bit more information here when you get to the substance use area, whether it's again marijuana or vaping or opioids or alcohol in the case of sport PPW, and as well as in-shape PPW. But once you get to this, there's a little bit more content, there's more slides, because we're addressing more risk factors, risk and protective factors known to influence substance use. So certainly we do want to talk about harm. We want to talk about myths. We want to also talk about and address social norms that correct the overestimation that young people think that all or most of their peers are using and approve of using, in this case, marijuana. And I'll discuss alternatives, healthy alternatives to that particular substance. And then, of course, eventually we're going to want to recommend, because this is a holistic approach, recommend under number 4, avoiding marijuana as well as other substances at the same time, increasing all and being attentive to all of these critical other behaviors, sleep and breakfast and nutrition and exercise and even stress control. And then the third part is goal plan. Now, if you're implementing this, in person, you make copies of your goal plan and you'll distribute it, and you'll read it with your youth and walk them through it. They really need to have your help as the instructor. So you give them lots of exercise, lots of examples of how to set goals. You want to have them set a goal that's measurable and specific, yet achievable. That's sort of a balance there. And all of this are in directions in your manual, and we talk about this during our 2-hour online or in-person program implementer training. So if you're providing this program to a group or individual youth in person, you just hand them the contract and you read it with them and help them complete a good goal. If you're implementing this online, you just have them go click on this link and go to an online version of the goal plan. And then you could walk them through the goal setting, or you could show them this 8-point online goal contract, and they can actually write one out on a blank sheet of paper, and you could show them how to do that. So it's as simple as that, and it's quite simple. You've got your script, you've got your slides, and we even have other resources, which I'll show you right now. Here's the Marijuana Prevention Plus Wellness Program Manual. This is the physical manual you get. And here's the table of contents. Again, this is an adaptation of the sport program, so you'll see it's very similar. Some organizations will implement sport, which addresses alcohol, and then the following week they'll address marijuana PPW, and the following week they'll address vaping PPW or opioid PPW, so you can do that. We also have a Sport 2 PPW program, which actually has 6 lessons in it. That's our only multi-session program. So sometimes they'll implement marijuana or vaping or sport, and then they'll implement Sport 2, and that addresses more broadly alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, drugs in 6 separate screening and brief interventions. Anyway, let's go back to the table of contents here for the marijuana PPW program for high school. This will be the same or very similar, regardless of whether you have the high school, middle school, or elementary school. In terms of the table of contents, there's a little bit difference, obviously, in the content, and certainly you'll see a big difference in the images. So the high school version, you'll see high school students modeled. Elementary school version, you'll see the kids model, and we want to have those kids, the same age youth see representations of themselves. So you can see the table of contents. You've got introduction, you've got step-by-step directions for implementation. You have a screening survey and a goal plan / contract, but you also have the screening survey and goal plan in your digital download, which you just copy to your computer, whatever device you want for safekeeping, and you can just make copies of whatever you need for implementation. The individual feedback lesson script is if you present this to youth one-on-one. Section 5 has the group script if you present it to 2 or more youth. And you have evaluation materials. Well, what does that include? Well, you've got a pre and a post screening survey, so you can evaluate your program efficacy, pre and post, and it comes in 2 versions. It comes in a scannable form and it comes in an online version. So you can easily implement the pre-test, launch the lesson, implement the post-test right within that single session. And so you've got data, you as the prevention specialist have data to assess how well your program is going with your youth that you've implemented. So it's very, very specific, laser focused, and it'll give you the feedback that you need to promote your program and to improve it over time. So it's a very rare situation that prevention specialists get that kind of data and feedback from their participating youth. So it's not like, well, we don't have any drug use today, I've done a good job. You'll know exactly how well you did because you've got quantitative and qualitative measures of outcomes and fidelity from that pre-post survey. There's also other tools to assess your program implementation and checklists, fidelity checklists, and so forth. So good evaluation tools in your manual and in your digital downloads, so you can make copies of them. And then there's even an online link if you want to continue to encourage and even assign youth to continue to set goals. That's really important because even though our research shows that, and broader research reviews of screening and brief interventions show that they are effective no matter how brief, even a single session like ours are, they're effective with some results even a year later, to the extent that you continue to work with youth on their goal setting, they will learn self-regulation skills and then learn to start shaping their own behaviors, which is a critical skill in life for happiness, for success, for etc. So that's the content in your manual. You know, there's the, I'll just scan down, I'll just show you, there's the introduction, there's the step-by-step directions. Here's the screening survey. You saw the screening survey because there was the questions were in the slides. Here's the goal plan. You make copies of it. And the goal plan even includes a 7-day monitoring tool calendar, if you will. Here's your script for implementing one-on-one. But let's go to the group because most of you said you'd implement your program to a group of youth. Here it is right here, the group feedback script. And when I say script, that's exactly what I mean. There's your introduction. It says, show the slide, and here's the script. So that's what you read to them. This is what you say to them. It's not that you can't add more, because you can. You want to expand that introduction, that's fine. But at least there's something there for you to begin with, and it tells you what you're going to be doing. There's also directions in these parentheses or these brackets. And it's reminding you, for example, here, if you're going to do a pretest, now is the time to launch that pretest. Then you're going to implement your screening survey. Here's what you say. Now take out your copy of your screening survey and complete it. Don't put your name on it. We want you to answer honestly. And there's your slide that everybody's cued. You as the instructor, your youth, everybody knows that the screening survey is coming. Then you're going to provide feedback. Here's your directions. You're going to ask youth to raise their hands. If they've done any of these physical activities, that's going to promote a positive social norm that, hey, my peers, my friends are physically active. I'm going to show the next slide, which highlights the benefits of being physically active. There's your script. Good for you. Sports, physical activities are a great way to get regular exercise. They're fun. They help you look fit and strong. Those are those image terms. But then the next slide, however, marijuana, active life don't mix. Marijuana hurts your health and can affect how well you do in sports and physical activities. And here's how it affects your lungs, it affects your brain development, etc. And then you continue to provide that feedback on all of those screening survey items, regular physical activity norms, breakfast and nutrition. Of course, along the way, you'll have these stop and think questions or discussion questions. What types of healthy foods would you like to try or eat more of? Sleeping, and then of course you'll come to your substance use content. Again, with the marijuana PPW program, it's going to be cannabis content. With the vaping PPW program, it's going to be e-cigarettes, opioids, it's going to be non-medical opioids. Sport, it's going to be alcohol. In shape for young adults, it could be alcohol primarily. So you're going to present information about how marijuana can cause life problems. Marijuana myths. We looked at the slide just a moment ago. Most youth do not use marijuana. And then lastly, you'll get to, completing your wellness goal plan. Now take out your copy of the wellness goal plan and read along, and you'll walk them through that goal plan. And here's some great examples of how you, examples that you give to you as to what kinds of goals they can set in the area of sleep, nutrition and breakfast, physical activity, and stress control. And that's it. That is your script. And it's as simple as that, and it is really easy as that. And then you've got your pre-post testing and your other tools. So that is your program. Now I think the next most interesting one that you had mentioned in your polls was, I think, vaping. Let me just pull up a vaping. Now, again, the vaping is actually going to be just like the marijuana, except again, marijuana content out, e-cigarette content in. So let me really show you the opioid PPW program, because whereas marijuana and vaping are based on the evidence-based sport PPW program, the opioid PPW program is based on the evidence-based in-shape PPW program. So let me show you the slides so you get a sense of the differences in these two programs. That's the content. So this here, what you're looking at here, are the slides to the Opioid Prevention Plus Wellness program for, let me just check the chat here. I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so this is the Opioid PPW program for adolescents, and the two other versions we have are for high-risk young men and high-risk young women. So let me just show you the difference here. Still the same evidence-based practices: screening and brief intervention, screening, feedback, goal setting. So there's a screening survey, and then there's opportunities to present the screening survey both in person and online. But let's take a look at the screening survey, because the screening survey ends up being the basis for the feedback and the focus of the feedback, and the basis for the and the emphasis and focus for the goal setting. So because opioid PPW is a modification of the evidence-based sport PPW program, which is alcohol for young adults, you'll see a little bit difference in the screening survey. So the first question is about most days a week do you engage in moderate physical activity, 30 minutes, such as, and then number two, do you engage in vigorous exercise, at least 20 minutes, make you sweat and breathe hard? So there's a little bit of a definition and differentiation between the moderate aerobic physical activity and vigorous aerobic physical activity. And then there's a question about diet. In this case, we're talking about nutrient-dense foods. So youth and young adults get to learn what that's all about. Question 4 is about 8 more hours of sleep again. Question 5 is a specific content about stress control techniques, a whole bunch of them. And then there's a question about last 30 days. Have you used any prescription opioids, Oxycontin, Vicodin, codeine, morphine, for non-medical reasons, or use any illegal opioids like heroin or fentanyl? Yes or no? So again, 6 questions, most yes or no, very quick. Actually, all yes or no, very fast, couple minutes, and then you're going to launch into feedback on those, each of those items. And one of the differences between the Opioid PPW program and the Initiate PPW program versus the others is there's a little bit more content. So you can see here, to the right, a little bit more content. What is 30 minutes of moderate physical activity? What does that result in terms of benefits and images? And all kinds of things here about self-esteem, confidence, stress, anxiety, energy levels, etc. Feeling fit and looking fit, that's really good stuff. And discussion questions, what kinds of modern physical activities would you like to try to do? And now how non-medical opioid use interferes with creating a physically active lifestyle. Well, it causes nausea, constipation, drowsiness, mental fog, etc. And a lot of great diverse images of young people in all of these. So that's the opioid PPW program. Still staying evidence-based screening and feedback. And then lastly, we'll get to the goal setting, which is recommendations and then goal setting. Because the opioid PPW program is shaped after the recommendations by SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, you'll see a little bit different content in this than the marijuana and vaping PPW program. So for example, you'll see this little information about medication-assisted treatment, or MAT. You'll see information about overdose and what to do about an overdose. And so in addition to, of course, the other prevention content we've been talking about. Okay, so let me stop at this point and see if anybody has any questions. So, or if they want to see something else. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Let me also pull up one other thing for you, and this is very important. I almost forgot this. Thank goodness I did. Remembered at the last minute here. So one of the things that's important, not just these very unique programs that we have, but the resources on our website that come with them. This is our website, preventionpluswellness.com. And if you go to the left-hand corner here, it's got the 3 lines on top of each other. That's the menu symbol. If you click on that, and you've got information on home page. We were just on programs and training. Don't forget, under training, you've got 2-hour online and in-person training for program implementers and training the trainers. So we can train you as a trainer. You can train other implementers in your area. That's a very efficient model for really getting a broad reach in your region or state. Resources, very important. We'll look at that in a minute. About us and our blogs. Drop in your email and you'll get weekly email e-blast informing you about everything. But under the heading of resources, if you click on that, there's a whole bunch of good content here and free material. So that's what I wanted to highlight for you. There's resources. And don't forget, if you want to be trained, look at our training online, implementer, train the trainer, on site, implementer, and train the trainer. We can do a one-day training where we can train all of your group and your organization, or region, state, or nation in both implementation and training. Implementation and train the trainer all in one day. So it's very, very efficient. So let me stop and see if anybody has any questions or comments at this point. There's, I want to pull up the chat and see. again, now's the time. If you want to see something else that I didn't show you, if you want to ask any questions about any of these programs or any of our programs of training, this is your time now. We've got another, 7-10 minutes or so. So let's see, we got people from all over saying hi, and thank you, all of you, for joining us today. God bless you for what you do for families and youth in your region. And let's see, we've got people from different cultures, great information. Thank you for the updated information, it's my pleasure. So we have a few minutes. If you have any questions, did you want to see something else? Did you want to see any of the other manuals, different age groups, any of the slides? Let me know, and I'm happy to show you anything. Remember, I'm going to send everybody a certificate 1 hour CEU for today's session. I'll send you a link to this recorded webinar. No PDF of slides today because, as you know, as you saw, that we were just bouncing back and forth, showing you different images of our manuals and our PowerPoint slides that come with them. So really nothing there to send you. I'd like to see something for elementary age students. So that comes from Deborah. So that's a good question, Deborah. Let me go ahead and let me grab that for you, so you can really see the difference between, we were looking mostly at high school, I think, thus far. So let's take a look at some elementary content. Let's look at the elementary content for vaping, so you can see what that looks like. Okay, hang on just a second. I'm making sure I have the most recent version. Let's see, here we go. Here's the, okay, that's a little bit, I think that's a little bit old. I don't want to show you the old slides. I want you to see the latest. So this may be the latest. So let me pull that up. So I'm pulling up the vaping slides, elementary school version. Now, let me just grab onto those for you, and we'll take a look at them together. So here are the slides. So let me expand this a little bit so you can see them in large version. So here are the, and again, you could co-brand these, this opening slide, put your logo on it. So this is for elementary school or elementary school age. Same process, screening, feedback, goal setting. The screening survey is a little bit simplified, all yes and no on everything. Course number 5 is ever used an electronic or e-cigarette? For example, a Juul or vaping pen. You may need to instruct them on what that means, depending on their comprehension and reading level. But the rest of the questions are the same as the elementary school version of sport, about playing sports, getting regular sports, eating healthy breakfast, getting sleep, and repeating of that first question. Here's the main difference. You can see it right away. You got these beautiful images of these beautiful young children engage in these happy, healthy behaviors, but same, image and benefit content, fit and healthy and good about yourself, lots of energy. I really like the elementary school version because I think the images are just awesome. So we've been very fortunate to get some really, really great pictures, and very diverse, different ethnicities, boys and girls, and you're seeing all kinds of fun activities. Again, you're going to have them stop and think, and so this will be perhaps a little bit more educational for the younger kids when you talk to them about different kinds of physical activity and different kinds of how to eat healthy foods and different kinds of ways to get plenty of sleep. And the risk level, of course, will be very low for substance use, whether it's vaping or cannabis or alcohol or marijuana or opioids, obviously. But nonetheless, they'll benefit tremendously, I think, from the focus on the healthy behaviors and the healthy images that they'll see. Here's a great picture when you talk about breakfast and nutrition. So you can see the main difference Some of this you may need to discuss and talk about. I think it goes a little bit over their heads, number 3, withdrawal symptoms, so you can adjust that depending. You know, there's quite a difference, I think, between a 6th grader, excuse me, a 3rd grader and a 5th grader, and that's what we're talking about. 3rd grader, 4th grader, 5th grader. So beautiful images and content, healthy, positive, integrative content, integrating, avoiding substance use with promoting really healthy, happy behaviors and images and benefits. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you to show you that elementary version. Did you have any other questions, anybody? Deborah, I hope that was good for you. And so I think we're just about out of time. So if you need anything from me, if you have any questions beyond today, remember, I'll be sending out an email to everyone who's registered. Do look for it. It may be sent to your spam folder because it will have a certificate attached to it. And then you'll be able to just respond to me if you have any questions or if you need anything else. So keep up the good work. Let me know if there's anything we can do from Prevention Plus Wellness to make your job easier, to make it more effective, to make it more fun for your youth and families, so that you could really impact the whole physical and mental health of young people. Thanks everyone for joining us, and do visit our website, preventionpluswellness.com, and have an awesome afternoon. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.